Hey guys, I'm back. For those guys that don't know, maybe don't follow me on Twitter, which, by the way, link in the description. I took a bit of a week off vacation for like the first time ever in my life. Yes, I actually left my house. I'm doing this little bit of an intro bit to ask you guys if you would please be today's video sponsor. Just leave a like and comment and just support the video. Haven't uploaded in a week. YouTube's algorithm is a feisty beast, and I'm trying to get back to consistency without getting absolutely axed. So I would definitely appreciate any extra support that you guys could throw my way, and yeah, enjoy the video. Thank you guys. Up until this point, we have covered all of the astral alignment, prophecy, moon/streaming city, and playlist weapon sets for the season. Today, we complete the Demon Joe France Infinity Gauntlet and cover the final weapon set of the season, the World Loot Pool weapon set. Now, as usual, we're going to be going over the weapon set gun by gun, talking about each weapon's god rolls, as well as ranking each weapon from best to worst, so I don't waste your guys' time talking about trash loot for the first half of the video. Now, of course, we're not going to be covering the entire World Loot Pool. That would just be way too much for one video. We're just going to be covering the 6 new weapons that got added this season specifically. But a bit of a quick refresher for those of you guys that don't know what World Loot Pool weapons are. The World Loot Pool weapons are weapons that can drop from any source in the game, whether that be gunsmith materials, legendary engrams, vanguard strikes, etc. They even have areas where you can target farm them as well if you'd like to. If you have gunsmith materials, you can do turn-ins at Banshee in the tower, and if you don't have any materials, take yourself on down to the helm and focus the worldly weapons engram to your heart's content. With you guys now knowing what World Loot Pool weapons are and how to farm them, let's jump into the video. First up on today's list, I want to talk about the new annual Skate 140 RPM hand cannon. Now, taking a look at the stats of this weapon compared to others in the 140 archetype, you're not really going to see anything special on Annual Skate's front specifically. Fatebringer and Palindrome still absolutely dominate that side of the hand cannon ecosystem, and even other 140s seem to have a leg up on multiple different stats comparatively. However, this weapon's perk pool and its element are what truly make this gun stand out from the rest. First up, as far as the element is concerned, the only hand cannons in the game that are solar are Ancient Gospel and Igneous Hammer. Not only are these weapons harder to farm than Annual Skate, but neither of them have anything on the Annual Skate's perk pool. Taking a look at the perks for PvE, in the first column we have picks like Outlaw, Surplus, and Triple Tap of all things, and in the second column we have Timed Payload, Dragonfly, Multi-Kill Clip, and Swashbuckler. You guys can already guess the role that I'm going to suggest here, and that's going to be Triple Tap / Timed Payload. Annual Skate is going to be the perfect hand cannon to rock inside of GM content for any time that we have a hand cannon champion mod. Triple Tap is going to ensure that you have great sustained damage on whatever you're shooting at, on top of Timed Payload granting a 12% damage buff to all headshots and 16% to body shots. Also, a little bit of a bonus feature on this hand cannon, Annual Skate's element combined with Wrath of Rasputin when using Timed Payload equals Warmind cells. Use that information to the best of your abilities. Annual Skate stands out as a fantastic GM hand cannon, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for that role. Obviously, in non-master content, Outlaw / Multi-Kill Clip should treat you just fine, but I personally would just use something else if you're not gunning for the GM role. Now, Annual Skate also has some great PvP perks. Literally everything in the first column has some sort of viability, and Opening Shot or Multi-Kill Clip would definitely treat you well in the second column. I feel as though this weapon's recoil pattern is just a bit odd to me though, and even with that aside, if I'm running an Elemental 140 in PvP, it's going to be Palindrome 100% of the time, end of discussion. All in all though, this weapon is just fine overall, but when taking a look at its element and perk combinations, it has some crazy potential inside of master content once we get the right champion mods, so be on the lookout for the god roll. Moving on from Annual Skate, we have an absolute baddie of a scout rifle right here, the Contingency Plan Arc Rapid Fire Frame. Y'all remember last video where I discussed the Servant Leader and its crazy potential inside of Destiny 2? Well, Contingency Plan is basically Servant's brother with just a bit less of a zoomed in scope. Just like Servant Leader, Contingency Plan absolutely shreds in PvP, getting a role like Tunnel Vision, Outlaw, or Surplus combined with Kill Clip, and you're pretty much good to go as far as the God roll goes. If you want to be a bit more thorough though, I definitely opt for getting accurized rounds, hammer force rifling, and a range masterwork just to help out with the scout's fairly low range stat. For PvE, it's hard for me to recommend Contingency over Eternal Blazon as they're both arc scouts, and Eternal Blazon just outright has better perks for PvE. But if you're someone that likes having a scout that fires full auto intrinsically, then go for Contingency plan, as it comes down mostly to personal preference. Taking a look at the perks for PvE though, we have Outlaw, Subsistence, and Surplus in the first column, as well as Frenzy, Kill Clip, and One for All in the second. Obviously, with this being a scout, I'm looking for that GM role, and with no Rapid Hit or Ensemble in the first column, that makes me a bit sad on the reload front for master content. Overall though, Outlaw or Surplus should suffice, and pairing those perks with any of the second perk columns mentioned earlier would make for a great PvE scout when running those Arc Shield Nightfalls, of course, once we get Scout Champion mods back. Moving on from Contingency plan, let's talk about the newest adaptive frame sniper making its way to the game, the Shepherd's Watch. Now, Shepherd's Watch is one of those guns where it's either PvP or bust. There's just no PvE usability. When looking at the perks, I know some people are going to say, oh, but Joey, it's got Frenzy, it's got Firing Line, and while that's true, Frenzy is just too much effort to activate without enough payoff on a sniper rifle, and Firing Line is not only bugged at the moment, but it's only consistently usable inside of raid content, and combining that with no sustained DPS perks like Triple Tap, you'll see that there's just nothing really going on for this weapon, especially when compared to other PvE options like Adored, Long Shadow, Yuzume, etc. That brings us to PvP, because if you like Yuzume, then you'll love Yuzume Live. Shepherd's Watch. It's got the same zoom value, great PvP perks, and it's practically just Yuzume in the kinetic slot. For PvP perks, in the first column we have No Distractions and Moving Target, combined with either Opening Shot or Snapshot Sight in the second column, and that's about as good as you're gonna get regarding PvP snipers. So if you're looking for a weapon to add a dash of variety into your sniper game for PvP, definitely give this weapon a try. Otherwise, stay away as it's just not worth your time. Like for me, I just can't snipe for shit, so I'm basically ignoring it right now. Moving on from Shepherd's Watch, we have ourselves a weapon that I'm a bit conflicted on, to be honest with you, and that's the Legal Action High Impact Frame Kinetic Pulse. The reason I have this weapon below Shepherd's Watch is mainly due to Legal Action just not really belonging anywhere in the sandbox, but we'll go over that in a minute. Taking a look at the PvE perks, we have options like Feeding Frenzy or Surplus in the first column, with either Frenzy or Rampage in the second. For PvP, everything but Underdog is going to give you some sort of usage in the first column, and combine that with Rampage and you'll have yourself a decent pulse. Now let's talk about the problems here. There's only 3 high impact pulses in the game right now: Legal Action, Cold Denial, and the Messenger. When it comes down to it, the Messenger is the end-all be-all of high-impact pulses, and it isn't even close, and this is more true as of this season. Not only does Messenger beat out all of the other pulses stat-wise, but even with the perks, we have Rapid Hit, Killing Wind, Outlaw, Moving Target, Heating Up, as well as Desperado, Kill Clip, One for All, and even Frenzy as a newly added perk this season for the Messenger. If Messenger didn't get Frenzy this season, you could make an argument that Legal Action could be used by those that don't want to rely on 3 enemies being present for a damage bonus like with One for All, but that's not even an argument anymore. Legal Action just doesn't have a place in the sandbox for both PvE and PvP outside of one singular redeeming factor, and that's just that it's easier to obtain. But even that point is much more dull now that Trials is super approachable and it's raining loot on anyone who touches the playlist. I don't know, Legal Action is great on its own, but the second that you start comparing it to the likes of Messenger, it just doesn't really look as good anymore. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, but for a player like myself, I really can't justify using this thing, especially if you already have a Messenger. There's just no reason to use it at all. Now, next up for the video, we have a weapon that suffers a similar issue that the Legal Action does, but it also is an absolute nostalgia trip for anyone that was around for D2 Vanilla. The SCATHELOCKE, or the SCATHELOCKE, Kinetic 600 RPM Auto Rifle. Before we go into details, let's go over the perks right quick. For PvE, we have Subsistence, Threat Detector or Surplus in the first column, as well as Rampage or Multi-Kill Clip in the second. And for PvP, we have Tunnel Vision, Surplus or Heating Up, combined with either Rampage or Multi-Kill Clip as well. Now, why don't I like this weapon? Well, when compared to other 600 RPMs, SCATHELOCKE just has horrible stats across the board. It's pretty much beaten out by everything in everything. When comparing its perk pools to that of other weapons, Last Breath, for example, from Prophecy, just has a better lineup, at least as far as in-game PvE is concerned, and that's kind of where it actually matters. With roles like Ensemble, Demo, and Subsistence combined with One for All or Frenzy, I mean, you're getting Demo and a damage perk on this weapon, I just don't see the need to run SCATHELOCKE at all in PvE, especially with anti-barrier auto being a thing this season. And for PvP, you might actually be able to make an argument that SCATHELOCKE is a decent 600 RPM for the kinetic slot, but I'd either opt for Forward Path as my 600 RPM, or just go away with 600s altogether and use Chroma Rush as it's an absolute powerhouse. I see a lot of people hyping up this gun to be this amazing reissued auto, but I feel as though that's just the nostalgia talking. It's nothing all that special at the end of the day, even if I do personally enjoy my Subsistence Rampage role. I would just use something any day of the week if I'm taking what I'm doing remotely seriously, and unfortunately that just means that SCATHELOCKE isn't getting that much use from me. Lastly for the video, we have, well, whatever the hell this is. The spoiler alert lightweight frame sidearm, and I can already feel the sidearm people on the edge of their seats for this portion of the video. Spoiler alert, pun intended, I hate this thing. It just feels like such a drag to use, as it's not a burst or an automatic sidearm. Its perk selection isn't remarkable in the slightest, and I just find myself putting in more effort overall to get less in return when compared to running literally any other primary in the game. Taking a look at the perks for PvE, we have Feeding Frenzy, Threat Detector in the first column, and Frenzy, Swash, and Demo in the second. For PvP, we have Surplus, Killing Wind, and Feeding Frenzy, alongside Swash in the second as well. You guys should know me by now, I just can't get on the sidearm train unless it's the right archetype, and this weapon having a pretty sleeper perk selection really isn't helping my enjoyment of it either. If you're a sidearm person, you might enjoy this. If you're not, this definitely won't change your mind. But guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. We went over all 6 of the new world loot weapons, went over their god rolls, as well as ranked them from best to worst as usual. Let me know down in the comments what you all think about these new weapons, and if you watched all the way through to the end of the video, thank you so much for your support. As always, for you guys that watch the whole video through, let's jump into the comment of the day, and today's comment of the day is from Stealth Striker. He says, Black Armory Froge weapons need to return. Also, Sorrow's verse with Harmony is absolutely bonkers. This comment got a crazy amount of likes and replies, so the least I could do is make it comment of the day since a bunch of people were interacting with it. So comment down below what your favorite Black Armory weapon is, as well as anything else that you want to say. For me, Kindled Orchid by far, and make sure that you feature the word hyonk in your comment as well, to not only make it sound like you're a goose while I'm reading your comment, but also so you can be picked for next comment of the day. Guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Hope you all did enjoy. I'm finally getting back on that consistency grind as far as YouTube is concerned. I probably featured a bit of an intro in today's video talking about where I've been, so I hope you guys didn't miss me too bad. We're getting back on that consistency, so expect more videos soon. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time.